As a coalition, it included major employers, customer groups, labor unions, healthcare providers, and successfully implemented the patient-centered medical home model around the country. In 1996, she was a fellow at the Kennedy School at Harvard. She received her BS in corporate finance from the University of Alabama and a JD from Catholic University in Washington, D.C. She has been a regular contributor to several newspaper columns, health and policy journals, and has appeared as a regular guest on cable news television channels, including MSNBC and Fox News. Please join me in welcoming Edwina Rodgers.
So John's my boss. He's on my board. That means that all of you are my bosses, and I'm here to give you a report as to what we're doing for you, what have we done for you lately, and what do we do for the money that we receive from your group. And I hope that you'll be impressed and you'll feel like that it's worthwhile. And I very much want to thank John Huber for his foresight and for his leadership and for the whole board of the Secular Coalition for America, because what John did not mention, and I'll go ahead and disclose because it's no secret, is that I'm actually a Republican. And I think that the board saw that as an opportunity to become extremely mainstream and to get inroads with the Republican Party. And it's not that it's a Republican takeover, because I assure you that all the other staff, they're all very involved in the Democratic Party and the board and our advisory board. But we're certainly going to be heard, and I think that that is a move in the right direction. So it was a bit of a gamble, and we're hoping that it's going to pay off. So we're 10 years old, the Secular Coalition for America, so that means that a lot of issues have already been sorted, which is wonderful, in that the movement has come together and decided to unify for over 10 years now, and so it's quite mature. But in the next 5 years, we have to really step it up and take it to a whole new level. And so we have to show results. And then how do we show results? So I'm going to talk a little bit about how we're measuring what we're doing, and we're going to be able to come back and report to all of you a year from now and be able to show really good results. And that, of course, humanists are known for not just taking any information on face value. They ask questions and they do research. And I do have some of our brochures here that I brought tonight. So what is the mission of the Secular Coalition for America? It's basically twofold. So we're here to increase the visibility and respect for the non-theist viewpoint. And also we're here to protect and strengthen the secular character of our government as the best guarantee for freedom for all. And so those are basically our marching orders. And we're here to facilitate and coordinate the government affairs for the whole movement. We're not here to lead the movement. Our member organizations are the ones that are in charge. But we're the ones who are actually doing the government affairs. Now, so who do we represent? We like to think that we represent all the Americans that think political leaders should not rely on religious beliefs when they're making their decisions. And that actually happens to be about 52.8% of Americans. And we also like to think that we represent the people who say that they have no particular religious affiliation. These are called the nuns. And they're currently about 16% of Americans. But if you go down to 30 and under 30, it jumps to anywhere from 25 to about 32% of Americans. So the trend is definitely in our favor. And this number, if you think about it, is 3 times larger than all the Jewish, Muslim, Buddhist, Hindu, and Mormon population in the U.S. So we kind of see them as a big sleeping giant and a silent majority. Now, who do we report to? 11 groups have come together, theists and and non-theistic groups have come together and formed us 10 years ago. And they're American Atheists, American Ethical Union, American Humanist Association, Atheist Alliance, Camp Quest, Council for Secular Humanism, HUUmanist, Institute for Humanist Studies, Military Association for Atheists and Free Thinkers, Secular Student Alliance, Society for Humanistic Judaism. So that's our board. Now, we're on a big campaign over the summer to get many more groups to endorse us. So we're looking for all the local chapters that you guys are involved in to go online and endorse us. Now, why is that very important? It's important because as we're going into state houses, as we're going into the nation's capital, when we brief members of Congress, senators, congressmen, executive branch officials, right now, last week, I had to say, we have 34 endorsing organizations. And I get this look like, okay, that's all you got? Can you do better than that? Well, by the end of the year, why can't we have 534 or 1,034 if we get the local groups to endorse us? They have to agree to our whole mission statement. And also, we need allies. We need allies everywhere we can find them. Business leagues, labor unions, consumer groups, think tanks. They should be able to be allies with us on this issue or that issue. So we're looking under every rock. And at the moment, we have about 6 allies that are coalitions that we're involved in, but we need hundreds. And we're certainly setting up meetings and we're working to get those. Now, what do we lobby on? What are the issues that we care about? There's a certain area that we can draw a circle around. And we know that there are issues that we care about, that we can go to Capitol Hill, whether it's at the federal level or at the state level, and we can lobby on about 6 different categories, and they've been approved by our board. They fall into the health and safety, education, military, tax policy, discrimination, government actions, and international. And we just did a survey just this past week with our member organizations and with everyone in our database to get them to rank the issues that we're working on and set our priorities because we're going through strategic planning. And by far, education came out number 1 and health and safety number 2. They were particularly interested in the young people and what's being taught to them in the schools. So we're going to, of course, rearrange everything and make a priority on what our members want. Now, health and safety, what are some of those issues? It has to do with medical professionals denying care based on their personal beliefs, religious employers denying health care coverage based on personal beliefs, the child care centers of religious institutions being exempt from health and safety rules. Public education has a lot to do with the religious influence on public school curriculum, like abstinence versus full medically correct sex education, intelligence design versus evolution, alternating the U.S. history, saying that it's a Christian nation. We've got serious military issues in that we're looking to try to get some humanist chaplains in. We've got tax policy issues in that we've got tax-free housing for clergy. We've got this whole faith-based initiative where billions of tax dollars are going to religious institutions where they're allowed to discriminate. We're focused on discrimination. You find it in employment, you find it in housing, you find it in adoption, where non-theists are discriminated against, also folks in the LGBT community, etc. Government actions that has to do with government officials endorsing religion, etc. And then international. I mean, there are some international issues that we care about, and that really helps us with regard to getting more of a wolf at the door. Because some of our issues, when we go in and we meet with members, they're like, okay, well, but the next group is going to come in and tell us that people are being killed in this country and that country. So you really have to compete. So we're looking at U.S. aid to countries that limit religious freedom and religiously based international policy. So now, what are we doing to correct the situation? We know the trend has not been in our favor over the last 30 years. Well, we have an aggressive implementation of our current strategic plan. And so specifically, what are we doing? I've been with the Secular Coalition for America for 6 weeks, and we have started this national movement update newsletter call every Thursday. It goes on for 30 minutes. We all come together and we coordinate everything from press to lobbying to events that are coming up so people feel energized and connected. We also do a legislative regulatory call every other week. We're planning HUU briefings for members of Congress. We are doing tracking. We just purchased this very expensive $30,000 a year tracking software so we can track legislation that we care about in all 50 states and at the national level. And we have set up relationships with liaisons at both political parties, the major parties, and then in the last 2 days we heard from the Green Party and also the Atheist Party out of Boston, which is brand new, saying that they want to liaison with us. We have plans to be at both major conventions. We are planning a national policy conference, which will be the first for our movement, where you come to DC and the speakers are all the decision makers. So you're going to have a panel on health and safety, and there'll be somebody from HHS who is going to talk about things that we care about, someone from the Senate Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee, etc. Education, somebody from the Department of Education. And we're also going to continue our lobby days. We have put together the National Secular Calendar 4 weeks ago. It's on our website. We have scorecards for members of Congress and for presidential candidates. We're putting together a guidebook for principles on secularism for elected officials, federal level, and can be used at the state level. It's like sort of model policies. And we're tracking court cases, but most importantly, we're setting up state chapters. Now, Arizona is very fortunate in that Arizona has a chapter and has had a chapter for quite a while and was the first chapter. And so you're going to hear from all the details on the Arizona chapter in just a few minutes. But what about all the other states? Alabama has a chapter, but no one else had a chapter. And so we're very aggressive in our rollout. We set up 8 new state chapters just 2 weeks ago, and we are setting up 9 more chapters next week, and we will have all the state chapters set up by the end of August. So we're very serious about getting our state chapters. Now, why are we serious about the state chapters? Because most of the very scary, egregious legislation is happening at the state level. I'll give you a couple of examples and then we'll wrap it up here and move on to the next speaker. For example, we have 6 states that have laws that allow pharmacists to refuse to fill an emergency prescription for contraception. We have 21 states that offer exemptions for contraceptive coverage for employers with varying degrees of religious affiliations. We have 44 states that have laws that require public school classes to recite a Pledge of Allegiance stating that we're a nation under God. We have only 18 states that require sex education curricula to be medically correct. And so the list goes on and on about the state level and the local level. And so we're on it, and I want to thank everyone in the room and your president for putting your faith in us, and I hope that you feel like that is time and money well spent, and thank you very much for being part of the coalition. Great.